Proverbs 31, verse 13 says, "She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it's still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and she buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness." Today is P31 Friday, highlight on women's businesses or leadership. Welcome to the Inside Out Show on the radio. Thank you very much for tuning in via 95.1 FM WNRI and WHLQ 105 FM. And hello to everyone on our Facebook Live. We're actually not on the Inside Out Show page, but we're on my page. Hi. So today on the Inside Out Show, we have Mia Hazlitt, mother, author, and executive assistant to the president and board of trustees of the Cape Cod Community College. And we have Roscoe Gay of Everyone Chef. So first, we are going to talk to Miss Mia. How are you this afternoon or this evening?
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. So, mother, author,
Yes.
executive assistant.
Yes.
Do you have any other titles?
You know, about a couple of years ago, I did a TEDx talk as well, and that was like my first real speech I ever really, and you know, I prayed on it, and I was like, you know, going into this year, I'm gonna do, I want to do a talk, and I want to reach people, and you know, I thought it would be just a little amount of people, but I submitted an application, and they called me, and I was like, wow, this is a really big platform. This is really gonna reach a lot of people, and I didn't think it through.
Yeah, because TED Talks, like I remember college, working on my college degree, and they said, well, go to TED Talks as one of your resources.
Right.
And I was like, wait, Mia's on TED Talk? You're a resource now. All right.
You know, so I was able to do that. So, you know, it's just, it's been a fun ride. It's been a wonderful ride. It's been, you know, I consider myself, you know, a mother first before any title. That's one of the most important for me.
Right.
And being able to provide for my children, you know, you have to be able to have that income. You have to be able to have that mindset.
Right.
And one of the things I talk about in my TEDx talk is about defining your own title. So I was at this point in my life where everything kind of just came to this pause and this stop. And I knew to go on, I really had to define who I wanted to become, because I think so many of us at the point I had separated from my husband. I was basically turned in the keys to my apartment. I moved in with my best friend. And so there I was no longer a wife. That title was away. I was no longer controlled the roof over my own head or for my daughters as well.
Right.
And I didn't have a job. And to have all those titles stripped away, I really had to define who I wanted to be. And it was sitting at my friend's dining room table one day, and she was just like, you know what, cut the crap, cut the pity party, I don't want to hear it. And she's like, as long as I've known you, you've written.
Right.
That's all you've done. You know, so whether it was in a journal, whether it was just making up little stories, whatever it was like, oh, okay. So it really resonated with me, and where I was at my life, you know, I started to write. I started my first book because I couldn't find one that I needed that message from.
Right.
I was going through it, and it was so hard.
Right. So real quick before you go further, so this book that she's talking about is called Going Through It. So actually, I asked Mia to bring me her copy, but I actually have my own copy at home. Can I say, so I purchased your book. So me and Mia have known each other.
It's over 5.
Is it 5?
5 years, yeah.
Wow, that's a long
About
time.
4 or 5 years ago
Wow.
we met.
So I purchased about 4 or 5 years ago, and I read it in a night. Like that night, I took it home and I read it, and it resonated so much with me. Like, because it's really like you're going through a storm in this book. You know, you're talking about your storms of life, and I was reading through it, and I said, "Oh man, yeah, I was going through some stuff here." You know, but when I got to the end, and I said, "You know what? There's some encouragement with it," but I was just like, "Wow!" For you to kind of put yourself out there, making yourself vulnerable.
The reason I really wrote that is because when I was going through it, I couldn't find a book where somebody else was going through it. There were testimonies.
Yeah.
And when you're so low, you don't want to hear about somebody doing good.
Right.
And you don't feel like you're going to make it to the end. And I'm just like, is there anybody? Oh, great. Now they have all this. I don't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I did get to this point that it doesn't have a happy ending. You don't have me floating on, you know, cloud 9, and then, you know, I met somebody else and now I have another job, and now, no. At the end of that, I was living in my parents' basement. I still didn't have another job, and, you know, I still had nothing. So that was the purpose of that book.
But I know you, when you made it to the end, you still talk about you were still in your struggle before the end comes. But maybe what I was doing was kind of looking past that as I was reading it. You know what I mean? Like, nah, she's gonna make it. It's gonna be all right, because I know that God will provide. I know that where God will make us whole by the end of our storm, where we would have learned a lesson, or He would have turned it around for our good and not for our harm.
Exactly.
So sorry, I had some other questions for you here. So this book came out roughly about 5 years ago. So when is your next book going to come out?
I am actually, one of the things I've been working on, for that I did self-publishing. So I wrote a work of fiction, and with that I'm looking at the more traditional route to go the agent route. So I've been submitting to agents, and that's a whole different process. What I really wanted to learn with that book, and what I did learn with going through it, is about the publishing process and about the marketing process and all the things that go into not only writing the book, but publishing. And I wanted that knowledge before I went out and stepped and said, okay, now I want to find an agent. Well, what does that mean? Now I want them to contact publishers. Well, what does that mean? Now I have that knowledge, and I really want to be able to go that traditional route.
I appreciate your page too, because you also share a lot of information for authors. Like, hey, these are some agents that are looking for these types of books. So it's not like you're hoarding that stuff for yourself, but you are very like fluid with it. Like, hey, this is what I found. So there's a few of them that I've saved myself as an author. So it's like, oh, that's nice of you, Mia. So you're also the executive assistant to the president and board of trustees at the Cape Cod Community College. So what do you do there? That's a big title there.
It's a huge title, and I look at that as having faith and getting your prayers answered. And for me, that's my Ephesians 3:20, exceedingly above and beyond. You know, because before I had kids, I was on that track of the corporate ladder. And one day I was going to make it, and I was going to be president, and I was going to be in that president's office every day, and I'm going to be running a company, whatever it was. And then I had my first daughter, and my whole world kind of just, and it was the battle of the titles, because I was a marketing manager, but at the same time, you know, I had already defined who I wanted to be as a mother. So I ended up switching career paths, and I started at the bottom rung all over again as an admin assistant. So, but in that role, I was like, one day I'm going to either assist the president or I'm going to assist a board of trustees. Somebody. So as I went through all my trials and tribulations, I got to this point that I saw it, and there was just this transition point in one of the jobs I had. So I applied, and I got it, and it wasn't until I had worked there a year and I got my self-evaluation form. And I had always looked at the title of who I was reporting to. And I saw it, and it just said president, and it just dawned on me, and I was like, I did it. You know? And, you know, where I think about my faith, God made all things happen, because although I'm not the president, I said one day I'm going to be in that president's office every day.
There you go.
Every day I'm in that president's office. So I assist not only the president, but the board of trustees as well. And I said either or, but God gave me both. So I'm grateful, and it's a big title, and it's shoes to fill, and it's I have a blog called Bossing the Boss, because that's what I do. You know, and you manage, and it's a hard position, because you know, these are people that are C-level, that have a schedule that's blocked out for months and are always on the go, and they're looking at you to, okay, what's going on? Am I going to this? I need this, I need that. And it's being there, but it's also being able to say no, maybe you don't want to do this, and offer that advice and have that relationship that is very unique.
Right. Wow. So when you think about like mother, author, speaker, executive assistant, you really are the epitome of that Proverbs 31 woman, because she really wears a lot of hats in that scripture. And I'm seeing like all these different hats that you wear, you know? So, wow. We are going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're actually going to talk to Roscoe Gay of Everyone's Chef. So thank you so much for tuning into the Inside Out Show on WNRI and WHQL. Welcome back to the Inside Out Show. I'm your host, Thea Fielding-Lowe. So our next guest who's in the studio right now is like one of my best friends, Roscoe Gay. He is the owner and head chef of Everyone's Chef. Welcome, 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 welcome.
Hey.
So, I'm sorry, he was just in here. He's making me laugh. This is how we are all the time, and I'm trying to be serious. I'm trying to be serious. So, what is Everyone's Chef? Because that's a really unique name to a business.
Right? That's what everyone says, right? So I thought that I was being, I can't even think of the word. I think I intimidated myself with calling myself Everyone's Chef or naming my business that. And I say that because I'm not formally trained. But I just love to cook, and the way that the name kind of took on a life of its own is that I cooked a lot of food, but you being who you are, you had challenged me to step out the box and learn how to bake. And I thought baking was like cooking, and you could just add a dash of that and a dash of that.
Yeah.
And my first cake boiled. So I'll never forget that, and I quickly learned that I really had to get better at my craft. And I love, different types of food, different cultures. I love the whole baking process to the cake decorating, and I just really want to expand that and be something for everybody. So the biggest thing was me, if you wanted me for your wedding, I can knock out your wedding cake and take care of all your catering services. If you wanted me for a baby shower, I can knock out your dessert table as well as doing the catering for that. So it was a little bit of everything all in one. So that's what encompasses Everyone's Chef.
Right. So yeah, I was being selfish because Roscoe is a great cook. Like, oh my gosh, his fried chicken. If y'all hadn't had his fried chicken, call him today and get that fried chicken. It's so delicious. So yes, he was cooking like this great, regular entree stuff, but me being the type of person I am, I need a little dessert at the end of each meal to feel like it's complete. Yeah. And that's when I was like, dude, you got to do something more, because I figure if your cooking was great, your baking skills had to be off the chain. And
I mean, it kind of took, from that moment, it took on a life of its own. Like, I remember I started baking, I started posting my things to Facebook. And then from there, friends and family just started sharing, and it just took on a life of its own, where I was able to quit my day job. And that was like a big faith move, where, to go from a 9-to-5 making decent money to all of a sudden now I'm like barely making an income, and that's where the passion, I felt like I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Right. And it was something that I feel like God put inside of me, because there were times where I would be making things or cooking things, and like I said, I wasn't trained, and I would have to stop and literally pray and be like, God, you got to show me how to pull this design off. Someone sent me a picture of Pinterest. I thought I could do it, but then when it just wasn't coming together, and I would stop, I would pray, and sometimes I would just step away from it. I would come back, and I felt like I'd be endowed with like how to knock out these cakes. Right. But it was crazy how it would come together, and it's just been a ride, and I really owe it to the big man upstairs for where I am at today with everything that's going on.
So you're doing lots of cakes. So is that like, would you say that's your specialty? Is just doing cakes?
I feel like that's where my business is going right now, where that's where my clientele comes to me more so for cakes. I love to cook more than I like to bake and do cakes, but a lot of my clients, before they want food, they're like, I need a cake for this, I need cupcakes for that. So I'm kind of just really sticking to more of the cake specialists, but if you need me to cater, I can definitely do those different things, where sometimes I have pop-ups, especially with the warmer weather. We're going to have faith that's going to get warmer, right. And be consistently warmer, right. Where I'll be doing the pop-ups down at the Millrace Kitchen, old Moby's hardware store down in Woonsocket, where I'll have my pop-ups there. Right.
So what do you think has been, I don't want to say your hardest cake, what cake have you made was your favorite?
Can we go back to the hardest one?
Okay, which one is your hardest
All right.
one? Okay.
So a friend of mine, they flew me out to D.C. to work on a cake for their anniversary, for a celebration, but they didn't have any utensils, no nothing. I wasn't shipping my stuff down there. I was like, we got to just buy the stuff if you want me to do your cake. We bought the stuff, but they only had one pan for each tier. So literally, I had to wait for that pan to cook, and I think it was a 6-inch, 10-inch, and a 12-inch. It was a really big cake. Mm-hmm. And so it took about 10 hours just for the cake to bake. They didn't have enough stuff for the cake to cool. So a cake that should have taken me maybe 10 hours tops took me about 2 days, and not sleeping and just being in the church. So I think that was the most...
the hardest cake?
Probably the hardest cake, because I didn't have the supplies that I was comfortable with, and I wasn't in my kitchen. So it was fun to get flown out to do a project, but that was probably one of the hardest, but it was actually pretty fun too.
So what's your most creative cake?
My most creative one is when I did an 8-layer cake. It was vanilla sponge, it was chocolate brownie, it was cookie dough, and there was something else with it. Then I did it with a Italian meringue buttercream. I crumb coated it, and I did a chocolate ganache, and then I covered it with chocolate chip cookies and strawberries. So it was like I didn't know what to call it, but it was like a chocolate chip cookie madness cake. So that was probably one of my favorite creations, and I did it all with scraps from another cake.
Wow, I'm sorry. I'm sitting here getting hungry. I'm asking all these cakes. So what about this cake and that cake and this cake? I went on your website, though, and I saw the most amazing cake. It was shaped like a fish. That was, to me, your coolest cake.
That was my first time actually doing a 3D cake, where and working with airbrushing cakes, where I normally just use buttercream or fondant. But that was my first one, and that was pretty cool. I enjoyed doing that.
So you were talking about like your pop-ups at Millrace Kitchen. So when is your next pop-up going to happen?
My next pop-up, I'm not sure yet. I haven't locked down the dates for my pop-up because I'm doing different things right now with working with the kitchen, and I have my Valentine's Day sale that is going on, and then I am also doing a food safety class. So I'm kind of doing different things. So I'm waiting probably in March my next pop-up will be, but you never know. You gotta follow me on Facebook because I might just throw something at you. So follow me on my social media outlets, and you'll definitely know when I'm popping up again.
So what is the food service training? What is that about?
So in order to start a food business, you have to have your food safety manager certification, and that's what I will be teaching is how to prepare food so you don't kill your client.
Right.
Pretty much the proper way to handle your food.
So where can we view everything to look at your food if we want to get some ideas to place our orders and stuff?
If you want to place orders, I am on easycater.com, where you can find me on there, and then you can also reach me on social media outlets, on Instagram and on Facebook, and then my contacts are all there, where you can see all my food. You can see where some of my lives, where I'm in the kitchen singing with the spatulas and just having a good old time. So definitely follow me, and that's Everyone Chef, EVERY, the number 1 S Chef, CHEF, and that's on Instagram and Facebook.
Right. It's actually kind of entertaining to flip through everything. I'm like,
come on here.
This is nice.
Oh yes.
So, what would you say has been your biggest lesson learned?
My biggest lesson learned is, I think the hardest thing is just don't give up on yourself. I feel like when you have that passion, and I finally identified at 31 that this is what I know I was called to do, and it's something that's on the inside, and it's not because I want to make this amount of money, but it's something that just grabbed that pulls. The moments that I've wanted to quit, I didn't quit, and God has really pushed me to have more faith and take those risks, and every time I step out, He's right there cushioning the next step. So that's the biggest thing. If you have something that you want to do, step out and take that risk and go after it, and watch how it blesses your life, actually.
Right. Miss Mia, where do you think you're going to be in the next 3 years?
In the next 3 years? That's a good question. For myself, I've set the goal of having an agent and a publisher by then. So keeping the faith and working on writing kind of the next phase, the follow-up to going through it as well, where the title is Gone Through It. So it's kind of doing the recap of coming up with knowing that I'm back with it. And it's a follow-up story to having not been through it and now seeing what happened afterwards.
So we are going to take our last commercial break, and we'll be right back with the Inside Out Show. So we are once again at the end of today's show. I just wanted to say hello to some people who are watching us via Facebook. Hi Wayne, how are you? And I tell you, my aunt is starting to become my biggest fan. Like I see her every week checking me out, and I guess I need that encouragement. But hi Auntie Carrie. Hey Dandy, I see you. And I think I might have missed some people, but if I did, if you logged in and checked this out and had to leave the show, thank you for tuning in. So I just wanted to leave everybody with a couple of announcements. One, like Chef Roscoe was saying, Everyone's Chef, he is hosting those food safety management classes starting February the 23rd from 8:30 to 5 at the Millrace Kitchen. So log on to his social media. I think his Facebook page is the easiest way to find it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Everyone's, with the number 1 and an S, Everyone's Chef, on Facebook page, and you can register then. And actually, to make it easier, we will also share it on our page. We'll put it on our Facebook, on the Inside Out page, so that you can find it even. It'll make it easier. Also, when Miss Mia came out with her book, and I told you I did a book review on my blog, I also put her where you can purchase using her link. So I actually shared that with everybody. So that's going to come up on my page. Actually, it already came up on my page. I'm looking at it. It came up at 6 o'clock. So if you want to get a copy of her book, just visit the Inside Out Show page, click on the blog, check out the blog. But there's also a purchase link if you want to get her book. So yes, it's called Going Through It. Also, starting on February the 8th, we made the announcement last week, we are having our vision planning Facebook Live workshops. So it's the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd at 7 p.m. It goes about 30 minutes, so it'll be on our page. And we're going to help you take those New Year resolutions into a work plan. To get them done by December 31st, you're going to say, I have completed every goal I've set for myself this year. So we want to help you map that out, and we're going to do that with life coach Jim Melia. She was on the show last week to talk about it. So that is February the 8th, 15th, and the 22nd. Also, on March the 3rd, the Inside Out Show will present its very first Inside the Cafe. Inside this cafe, we are doing a professional headshot event. So if you are a community, church, or business leader, or you have built this big following on social media, blogs, or whatever, and you need professional pictures to kind of advertise your stuff, Mia was saying that she's a speaker, you might need like a really great headshot to kind of go out to the extra work that I don't know, whatever you may need a professional picture for. We're going to host this event. These pictures I'm actually working with 2 great photographers who are it's 2 photographers, a makeup artist, and a graphic artist who are discounting their services to help everybody have these professional pictures. And you want to if you're stepping out and you're doing something, you want to make sure you have stuff that's quality, so that's on March the 3rd. It's going to start at 9. It's going to go all day to the 5th. And visit the Inside Out Show. Visit InsideOutShow.com, our website, and you'll be able to go on and book your place. So it actually will be up probably by tomorrow that you can actually schedule your appointment. And actually, I'm sorry, I have to do this because she's my one of my great sponsors. She sent me a nice pair of earrings. So I just wanted to say thank you, Londa, for my pair of earrings. And I got some other stuff from her too, but I'm not going to be greedy and keep it for myself. I might keep these, but I'm not going to be greedy and keep the other stuff for myself. I'm going to post it on my website as a giveaway. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but hopefully by next Friday I'll have something on social media. So if you want them, it may be just me pulling from my subscribers and sending it out. I don't know, but I just wanted to say thank you to Yolanda for my gifts. But it's that time, so once again, thank you so much for tuning into the Inside Out Show. I just want to thank my special guests once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out, and then we'll see you next week on the Inside Out Show on WNRI at 6 and WHQL on Mondays at 10:30 a.m. God bless you and have a great night.